let us go ahead and look at a few practical things, a few things you can actually do to work on your group discussion skills, besides understanding how important it is, besides working on your communication, a few real tasks to practice, because practice makes one perfect. Everything needs practice, whether it's a football game, whether it's a basketball game, whether it's singing, everything needs practice to be the best, right? Let's look at a few things that will help us practice group discussion. The first step you can take in preparing yourself for a group discussion is attend seminars. Any chance you get. I've been conducting seminars for ages now, but I still attend a seminar any chance I get, whether it is a seminar I have attended before, whether it's a topic I already know, or it's a brand new topic. So go ahead, attend those seminars. When you get an invitation, don't say how boring this is going to be. I will give you questions you can ask yourself that will help you understand and use skills that that speaker in the seminar uses or is lacking. The first question you ask yourself when you attend a seminar is, how does the discussion begin? How does the speaker start and introduce the topic? Does he go straight to the topic? Does he give you a slight introduction? How does he open the discussion to a group of people? How does the discussion begin? The next question you can ask yourself is, what kind of questions are being asked? Are the questions abstract? Are they questions that will help the speaker continue with his current point? If there is a question that I want to ask about something that was said half an hour ago, but the question has just come to my mind, how do I ask that question? How do I go back to a previous point? Sometimes, even in a group discussion, it started with a particular point, but after about 10 minutes into the discussion, you feel, all right, I can relate to that previous point. How do you go back to a previous point? How does that happen in seminars? Notice, how does one disagree with a point? We'll discuss this in detail further, but ask yourself, when someone is disagreeing with another point, how are they doing it? If they did it in a particular fashion, did it work? And if they did it in that fashion, did it not work? If it did not work, great, you've learned what not to do. Another question you ask yourself when you're attending a seminar is, what are the various phrases that are being used? The more seminars you attend, the more discussions you attend, you'll realize that there are very common phrases. Again, a few of these phrases I will be giving you later in today's session, but notice what are the kind of phrases that are being used. And finally, ask yourself, how does one signal when a question has to be asked? Do you simply stand up? Do you raise your hand up like in school? How do you indicate that you want to ask a question so that whoever the speaker is looks at you and gives you that chance to ask your question? This is the first thing you can do in preparing yourself for a group discussion, attending a seminar. Another thing you can do in preparing yourself for a group discussion is practicing listening. The key to every nice, every peaceful discussion in the world is listening. Whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your mother, whether it's with your father, whether it's with a sibling, it's with friends, it's with your boss, colleagues. The key to a successful discussion, the key to get people doing what you want them to do, is to first listen to them. So when you listen, you will know what you need to say next. It works like a miracle. Try it out. Listen. Now, what do I mean by listening? Don't just hear. Listen. So many times in a classroom, when the speaker, the trainer, the teacher, whoever it is speaking, and someone, in school, I'm sure all of you have been in this phase. In school, you're sitting in class, suddenly you look outside the window or you start writing something and the teacher says, hey, why aren't you listening? And you say, no ma'am, I'm listening. And the teacher says, well, then tell me what I said. And you say, well, your last statement was, the tsunami just hit this particular region. So you've remembered the last statement that the teacher made, and the teacher says, okay, and then carries on. But does that mean you were listening? Did you hear what happened before that? When we hear, we automatically hear the words. When we listen, we understand what the speaker is saying. So this is what we mean by listening. Don't just hear, listen, understand, focus. Don't daydream in between a conversation, in between a discussion. Dreaming is good. I'm telling you that, I believe that, I've heard people say that. When you dream, only then will you do and achieve bigger. So dreaming is good, but when you're there in a particular room, when you're listening to a discussion, make use of that moment. So be in that discussion. Don't dream then. Dream when you have the time to dream. Evaluate everything that's being said, understand it. Test your understanding by asking questions. This is how this second step in preparing yourself to a group discussion works. Test yourself, ask those questions, understand the points. That's when you will be successful. This is what will help you in your group discussion. Besides these 2 points, there are 3 P's that work like a charm. We spoke about listening, we spoke about attending seminars. Tell yourself and remind yourself of these 3 P's that will help you reach that stage you want to in a discussion, in any phase, in any department, in any industry in life. The first P is prepare. In context of a group discussion, make sure you're well prepared. You prepare by attending seminars, you prepare by asking yourself questions, you prepare by thinking, all right, if I make this point, what kind of questions will I get in return? Prepare yourself to use facts. When you're making a point, think, do I have a story with this? Do I have a fact to support my point? If you do, use it. If you don't, great. Know your point well enough to explain it. Be prepared to answer questions after making a statement. You cannot make a statement and then when someone disagrees with it or asks a question, look at someone else and say, hey, what do you think? So prepare yourself. Practice. The second P is practice. How do you practice a group discussion? You don't know the topic. You don't know who are the people that are going to be there. You don't know who the assessor is. You don't know tomorrow when you need a group discussion. But we've discussed so many skills like language, thinking, knowledge. Knowledge may not be applicable here because we don't know what the topic is. But we've discussed so many other skills that you can use. Patience, listening. You can practice them. Find a group of people who, like you, would like to improve and keep practicing their group discussion skills. Meet once a week, meet once a month, meet thrice a week if you want. Sit down and say, all right, today's topic of discussion is this. When you meet your friends, subconsciously in your own mind, think of how you're expressing your skills, even if you're just talking about a movie. Think, were you able to convince people about the movie you want to go to? Like my friend Max. Were you able to convince people like my friend Max does and Max makes all of us believe that we decided, all right, we'll watch this movie. So everyone's comfortable because tomorrow when you tell a friend, hey, listen, I don't care whether you want to come or no, but I want to go watch The Terminator. See, that's your friend. Your friend also wants to watch a movie. Your friend will come. Even if you say, I don't care, but I want to do that. But your friend will not be happy about coming. Your friend may love the movie, it may be a great movie, but he'll not be happy about the decision taken about the movie. But with the correct skills, with that correct practice, you will be able to convince your friend and not just make him come with you. Your friend will feel that yes, watching Terminator is a good idea. That's what your friend will feel. So when you're convincing your friend tomorrow as to which movie to watch or which restaurant to go to eat or where to buy a burger, practice your group discussion skills there. That's where you can use our second P of practice in day-to-day life. If you want to, you can do it every single minute of your life. And the third P is participate. Please remember, you're sitting with a group of 12 people, 8 people, 6 people, 10 people. You have 20 minutes for your group discussion, 10 minutes for your group discussion. Every single person sitting there wants to do the same thing that you're doing. Every single person wants to speak. Every single person wants to lead the discussion. Every single person wants to be the facilitator. So no one is going to look at you and say, hey, okay, you've not spoken, why don't you speak? Because they are also trying to speak up for themselves. So you need to speak for yourself. Participate on your own. Do not wait for people. Even if you've signaled and put your hand up and said, I have a point to make, wait for a few seconds, wait for a minute. No one's heard you. Before that point moves on to the next one, make your statement. If there is a conflict, if there is a problem that needs to be solved in your company, your school, your college, wherever, you're part of that problem solving committee, you're part of that group discussion, you may have the solution, you may have the best idea. So don't be shy, don't keep quiet, give them that idea. You never know how much you help them. Sometimes you may make or contribute an idea that's not feasible, and that's okay. Most of us get worried. We worry too much about being wrong. But if somebody is not wrong, how will one person be right? When you are right, it's because those people sitting in front of you, maybe their idea was not the best. So what if you're part of those people? Don't be afraid. What's important is participation. What's important is that you're confident enough to share your point. Of course, if you know you're going to end up speaking nonsense, then don't. If someone's asking you what color to paint a wall, and that wall is going to be, in your CEO's cabin, it's your CEO's cabin wall, you're not going to say orange. Depends on which company you work for again, but usually you're not going to say orange. So if you have a suggestion, make it. As long as you in your heart believe that it makes sense, say it. If it does not, people will tell you, then say, great, thank you. Now you know for the next time what went wrong in your suggestion. You're learning. If it's not the best idea, you've learned. So don't be afraid. Participate. Participate in a group discussion. Speak up. It's very important. Don't be passive. Speak up. So our 3 P's, prepare, practice, and participate. Use these 3 P's the next time you're in the smallest of group discussions. Alright. Here where I'm going to take you on to is, you've heard me use the word leader discussion, facilitator discussion, chair discussion throughout our conversation today. Now let me explain what it means to lead a discussion. Leader discussion, like I said, does not mean everyone gets scared of you and says, yes boss. There is more to leading a discussion. When you're a leader in a group discussion, and mind you, when you're actually being assessed in an interview, when as part of your interview you have one round that is group discussion, the person who leads and does what I'm going to say does get extra points. So it's nice to be the leader. Volunteer to be the leader. How do you do that? The leader introduces the topic. So volunteer, say, I would like to introduce this topic. Begin your group discussion. As a leader, you welcome the people, introduce yourself, and not the whole story of my name is so-and-so, I come from so-and-so, my hobbies are this, my hobbies are that, I do not like this, in my free time this is what I do. No. Introduce yourself, your name. If you're representing a company, mention the name of your company, that's it. Names. Introduce yourself, then introduce the topic. So 3 steps when you begin as a lead in a group discussion: welcome people, introduce yourself, introduce the topic. Another role you play as a leader is encourage people to speak. So you introduce your topic, make the first point, and then open the discussion. Don't use the first 5 minutes out of a 20 minutes discussion just because you got the chance to be a leader. You will not get extra points there. You will not be marked higher there. As a leader, take that first 1 minute to introduce the topic, mention your point, what you feel about it, 1 point. Explain your point, and then invite and encourage participation. Also, as a leader of a group discussion, you need to make sure that the table sticks to the topic. Many a times, we move on to a different topic. We forget what we're really discussing. So as the leader, you need to listen well and bring everyone back to the topic when they're going off it. Bring everyone back. Tell them, all right, great, we have a lovely discussion going on here. However, we seem to have drifted away from the topic. Let's come back to our today's topic. What do you have to say, Tina? Encourage people to speak. If you feel someone can support you, you don't have to say, let's come back to the topic. This is what I feel about the growth rate in India. Whatever growth rate it is. But if you feel that Tina also has a point there, let Tina speak. You're the leader. Remember that. If many a times group discussions get into debates, as the leader, it's also your role to manage any kind of conflict, to make peace if your group discussion is getting into a debate. So keep track of that. All this can be done by listening. And finally, the leader's role is to summarize. Thank everyone for coming and say, since it is the end, since time is up, since we're reaching the end of our discussion, let me quickly summarize all that we've discussed today. We started with the topic so and so. Point number 1 was this. It then led into point number 2, 3 and 4, and we have reached the decision that we will ... Sometimes a group discussion does not reach a resolution. That's also okay. You can leave it hanging. Remember, it's all right. Don't say we've reached a conclusion and say the conclusion that you feel is correct. If you feel the wall should be painted off-white, but there's been a huge group discussion about whether it should be blue or off-white, because the color of your organization is maybe a lovely blue, but you feel it's off-white, don't say, all right, so in the end, to summarize, these are the positives about blue, these are the positives about off-white, and I feel we should use off-white. No. Now you're not summarizing your thoughts, you're summarizing what the group has discussed. So leave it at these are the points about blue and this is about off-white. Okay? So again, as a leader, introduce yourself and the topic. If the people have not been welcomed by your assessor, welcome them. Then remember to encourage members to speak, remember to stick to the topic, remember to manage conflict, and remember to summarize. You've earned yourself a good 20 extra points on your group discussion by hardly speaking. And a very similar role, though not the same, a very similar role is that of a person who's chairing the discussion. As the chair, besides introducing and welcoming the people to your group discussion, what you also need to do is make sure that you're helping people in accomplishing the objective. If the objective of the group discussion is to select the colors of the wall, make sure you're helping people do that. You're the chairperson. Your role is to encourage ideas from those people. Always be positive when you're in this situation. Always make sure that you're not the person who participates in a conflict. As much as you want to support someone's point, if it's getting into an argument, back off and make peace. A chairperson will, 1, introduce the topic and the reason why the discussion is there. 2, he will make sure, he or she, that every member gets an equal opportunity to speak. When the group discussion is over, he will thank the people. Now you could be a leader, here's where the difference comes in. You could have opted to be the leader in a group discussion, but the examiner, the chairperson, will be the one to conclude it, will be the one to welcome the people, and will be the one to thank the people for coming. Though you may have summarized as the leader, but as the chairperson, one will need to thank everybody for their time, for coming. Even if the group discussion is for them, even if they've come for an interview, they've come. Courtesy is very important. Say thank you. And finally, as a chairperson, you will mention whether you all have reached a decision or not. So when we talk about a leader or a facilitator, the roles are very similar. As the chairperson, it also involves the additional roles of welcoming people, thanking people, and sometimes even as for example, if you're assessing a group discussion, you're part of an HR team, you have new people come in for an interview and you're sitting there and assessing people on their group discussion skills. In that case, you could be the chairperson. So you will welcome them, you will summarize it, and you will thank them for coming in. But throughout the discussion, you've been a silent spectator. That's also alright. So now I've given you tips on how to improve your group discussion, what is a group discussion, how to work on it, what are the few things you can do in day-to-day life to make sure you're good at group discussions, and what is the difference, what are the things that earn you extra points by being a leader, a facilitator, or a chairperson. Let's move on to understanding the knowledge aspect. What kind of topics do you expect in a group discussion? Now this of course is mainly related to when interviews are being conducted or it's a practice group discussion, because once you're already part of a company, the topic could be an issue being faced, an event coming up in the company, something your team members want to discuss. But there are certain topics that you never know what to expect when you're there for an interview, because it could be part of 4 topics. There are 2 categories of topics. One is a case-based and one is a topic-based. Let's first discuss the case-based types of group discussions. A case-based topic is nothing but something that's given instead of a regular topic and which is based on real-life situations. They'll give you an example. They'll say your company was making profits for the past 2 years. Now suddenly there's a new competitor in the market, the company is not making profits. How do you think the company can bring back its customers to it? They'll give you what issues have been there, what are the assets, what are the plus points of the company, and things like that. So here this is a case given to you. They will ask you to come up with a solution. Now what is important to remember in a case-based group discussion is that there need not be a solution at the end of 20 minutes. Like I told you earlier, you need to put forth your points and your suggestions. Now at the end of 20 minutes, if you all have come up with a solution of what to do, great. If you haven't, great, no problem. It's your discussion skills that are being tested. So speak. Even if you do not have the end solution, make your point. I think advertising will help. I feel maybe we should conduct a survey and find out what more do customers want. What more than what that competitor is offering. In a case-based group discussion, what a company is doing is testing your problem-solving skills. They're looking at the different angles from which you can look at an issue. Are you saying advertising is the only option? Or are you also listening to what other people are saying? Are you considering different ways? Are you saying, no, you have to give more money, we have to advertise more, otherwise we can't do well? Or are you looking at an issue from different angles? All this is very important in a case-based discussion. So depending on what kind of role you are applying for, you will either have a topic-based or a case-based discussion. A few examples of a case-based discussion are: one that tests leadership. For example, what are the necessary changes that are needed in your community organization and how do you want to lead the process? Any kind of changes. This could be one example. Another example could be based on school violence. What are the real causes of violence and bullying in schools? This is a case-based example. They're telling you there is a school, people are being bullied, there is violence. What is the answer to it? Find a solution. You have 20 minutes. You have half an hour. You have 10 minutes. Now all you need to do is contribute. Another example of a case-based discussion could be sort out how to make money with recycling. Or companies come up, they want to make money by recycling waste. How do I do this? Now you may not be able to come up with the answer in 20 minutes, but at least you know what to expect. So what you can do is think about the topic-based discussion and case-based discussion and figure out how to practice it. Practice different topics so you get into that thinking method. Let's move on to the different types of topic-based discussions. There are 3 types of discussions in the topic-based discussions. One is factual, one is abstract, and one is controversial. Let us begin with factual. What is a factual discussion? A factual topic for a group discussion would be a practical subject. It could be related to day-to-day life. Many a times it is based on socio-economic topics where you get a chance to prove how sensitive you are to the environment, how much you care about paper wastage, how much you care about water wastage, how much you care about people around you. So socio-economic topics are factual discussions where there is a current scenario in front of you. It's a fact. Child labor, it's a fact. Child marriage, it's a fact. Women abuse, it's a fact. Child abuse, it's a fact. These are things you get to deal with in factual topics. It shows whether you are aware that it is a fact. Here again, that knowledge, that keeping track of current affairs really helps, because you could suddenly come up with a topic and say, just the other day I read about this city and this was the incident. It gives you that boost to support your point. So you know that reading will help you handle a factual based topic. So the minute you get your topic in an interview, in a group discussion, you can start thinking of the facts. So you see how it helps. Knowing the type of topics that come across will help you prepare yourself even if you know the topic last minute, because you know what kind of types are there, what types are there. A few examples of factual topics are the educational policy in India, or tourism in India, or state of the aged in the nation, pros and cons of having a credit card. These are all facts that are right in front of you. So when you get a topic for a group discussion, put it into the category quickly. Is it a case study? Is it a factual topic? Is it controversial? Is it an abstract topic? And start thinking of what you need. For factual topics, you need facts. You need to remember what you've read recently. So you see, your thought process is streamlined for you. Saying this, let's move on to the next type of abstract topics. Now, what are abstract topics? Nothing but intangible things. Now, abstract is not really a common thing that's used in group discussions, but it could come up. What an abstract topic does, when someone gives you an abstract topic, they're testing your lateral thinking and creativity. So tomorrow when you're applying to a Google to think of how creative you can be, you're applying to a creative department of a company, your group discussion may involve an abstract topic, because they're seeing how creative you can get. Now, what are abstract topics? Examples are the Nostradamus Code, computer viruses, vegetarianism. Here you can support with facts, yes, but they're very abstract, they're very lateral. Do you get what I'm saying? They're very, it could be like this. But sometimes that's exactly what's needed. Sometimes a creative department just wants you to think of the abstract. How does a company come up with a Zuzu for advertisement? How does a company think that a little pug, a little dog running after a bus is going to make people buy their product? This is all abstract. So depending on what role you're applying for, you could get an abstract topic, and in this case, let your imagination go wild. Do not torture your brain to think of facts, because this is not a factual topic, it's an abstract topic. But use your brain and your thinking to think of the lateral, to think of what could be different, to be creative. So this is how you prepare yourself for various types of group discussions. Finally, we come to controversial topic. Controversial topics are simply testing whether you get emotional or not. Now, getting emotional does not mean you cry. Emotions are everything. When you're sad, it's an emotion. When you're angry, it's an emotion. When you're excited, it's an emotion. These are all emotional. a controversial topic is testing, do you feel bad immediately? Do you get angry when someone says something? Or are you able to be calm and handle what a person in front of you is saying? Controversial topics are very important. Though they may have nothing to do with your role in the organization, they're testing your skill set as a person. So the minute you get a topic for your interview, group discussion, remember to categorize it into factual, controversial, abstract or case study and work on it accordingly. And if it falls under the controversial topic, tell yourself, don't get angry, don't get upset, be calm. It'll work like a charm. It tests your patience, and a controversial topic is testing your maturity. Most of the time a controversial topic will get into an argument because it is argumentative in nature. So here you get to show off the leadership skills that I have told you about and make me proud, because you're going to be the one who is going to be calm and not arguing, and here you get that chance to say, hey, let's hear each other out, let's not get angry. Gives you that upper hand. A few examples of controversial topics are, should reservations be removed? 1. Should smoking be banned? Are there extraterrestrials who influence on Earth? Extraterrestrials, aliens, life on Mars? These are all controversial topics. Online dating have nothing to do with the search of a soulmate. Now here you have people who actually found their soulmates on online dating, and here you have people who are saying it's all rubbish. It's a controversial topic. Say what you feel like, support your point, that's all. So these are the different types of topics that can come up in a group discussion. Why is it important to know these again? Is because the minute you get your topic, you can categorize it into case-based or topic-based. Topic-based would be factual, controversial and abstract, and categorize it into which type so you know how to think. You know, it's like maths. When I studied math, I asked my teacher, I said, I don't want to be a mathematician, I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want to be an architect or an engineer. Then why is it that I need to know geometry, and I need to know algebra, and I need to know trigonometry? And this teacher told me, when you look at a math sum, when you're solving that math, now this is for all of you there who hated math in school, when you're solving that sum, you do know that in your exam you're getting marks for every step. The examiner or your teacher does not look only at the last answer. Prove that a plus b bracket square equals to a square b square. I don't think it does, but I'm just saying, I'm not good at math. Prove a plus b bracket square equals to a square b square, or whatever it is. Finally, if in the end you've written yes and you've got your correct answer, that does not give you your full 5 marks. What gives you your full 5 marks is a division of half a mark, half a mark, half a mark in 10 different steps. Why is that happening? Because what math is doing is training you to think step by step. Is training you to give your mind that practice of thinking, all right, I have this and I want this. How do I get there? I cannot jump in life. I need to go step by step. And all of us who break things down categorically, who have good logic, is because of that practice of math. And all of us do. You may be able to solve that math sum or not, but today in life you're solving a lot of issues, you're solving a lot of concerns, you're solving a lot of problems that arise. It's because you've been taught to think like that. You've been taught to think strategically. You've been taught to look at every step. And that's exactly what's happening here. When you categorize your group discussion topic into a type, you know now what to think. If I have a factual topic, I will start racking my brains for the last headlines I read, the books I've read. If I have an abstract topic, I'll let my brain go wild and think of what happens. If I have a controversial topic, I will tell my mind, all right, keep calm. So these tips will really help you in your future group discussions, and I hope you practice them every now and then. Saying so much, let's quickly move on to a few more pointers, just a few more tips I'd like to give you which will help you be excellent in your group discussion. The first one, be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else, people will see through it. Be confident of who you are, you're an amazing person. Whoever you are. Whether you got a 97 in school or a 60% or you were thrown out of school does not matter. You are the person you are. If you're correct for a job, correct for a role, you will get it. If you believe you're correct for it, you're correct for it. So be yourself, smile, be a happy person, don't be upset, don't let anyone put you down. They say, no one can put you down without your permission. So when you make a point and someone's arguing it and telling you that your point is incorrect, it's all right. It may be incorrect, but you don't have to feel terrible about it. Okay, think of something new. So be yourself, speak up. Like I said, don't deprive people of the wonderful thoughts that you have. Go ahead, speak up in your group discussion. Organize your thoughts. Go from A to B to C. Do not go from A to F. Organize your thoughts. Thank your math teachers for the organization skills you have. Understand the subject, then speak. We've discussed this. If you don't understand it, listen for 5 minutes. You will understand it, then contribute. Don't insist on introducing the topic if you haven't understood it yourself. Let someone else do it. It's all right. You can make up for your points in the rest of the discussion. It doesn't mean if you're not the leader, you're not going to get good points. You could still get more than the leader. Work on it. All right. Before voicing your own opinion, it always helps to agree with someone else's. Why? Because this shows your examiner, your assessor that you're listening. So once someone makes a point, say, great, thank you Rita for your point. I completely agree with what you said, or however, I disagree because. Or say, well, I would like to add to Rita's point, I would like to add to his point or her point. If you don't remember their names, it's okay, you've just met them. But if you remember them, it'll also work like a charm. I would like to add to that point by saying so and so, and add your point. Be assertive, not dominating. You are supposed to speak up. You need to be confident of who you are. Be proud of yourself. Don't let people put you down, but don't put anyone else down either. If you disagree with someone, smile, acknowledge their point, disagree nicely. Even if you feel that point was absolute nonsense, disagree nicely. Encourage other speakers to speak. It really helps show you have good group discussion skills. And like I said, practice, have mock sessions. So, what are the do's and don'ts in group discussion? The do's are respect, courtesy, be polite, please, thank you, smile, listen. If you're disagreeing, go ahead, disagree, but disagree politely. Stick to your topic, and in case other people are going off it, politely bring them back to the topic, politely. Use positive body language, open hand gestures, not this. This means stop talking. Use this. I would like to make my point by saying ABC. What do you feel about it? Not what do you feel about it, what do you feel about it? That's an open hand and a closed hand gesture. Speak clearly. That's also a do. Yes, you must speak clearly. What are the don'ts of group discussion? Don't take offense only because someone disagrees. Don't cry, don't feel bad, don't even get angry. Let people disagree. Keep your mind open to the fact that they may have a correct point. Please tell yourself it's okay to be wrong. It's okay. If you know you're wrong, then you will not say that, you will not suggest a particular solution. But if you feel you're right, and then someone says something and then you realize, oh, maybe that's not correct, say, great, thank you so much for your suggestion. Don't go into a nutshell and don't explode. Don't insult anybody. Avoid negative body language like frowning at someone, getting angry. Your face shows a lot. Body language conveys a lot. You will not make a good impression if your words are saying, oh great, but you're looking at them with anger. And finally, don't interrupt. Let people make their point just like you would like your chance to speak. They also want their chance to speak. So do not interrupt when a person is trying to say something to you. Do not interrupt when a person is making a point of their own. Now, let's practice and let's look at a few statements. I told you I'll give you a few statements that will help you work in group discussions. Please keep these few statements in mind. The first thing we discuss when we talk about statements is how do you express a valid opinion. That means a valid opinion is as an opinion you believe is true, you believe is correct. A few statements you can use to start. You know, many times we get stuck. We say, okay, this is what I want to say, but how do I begin? Because they are saying something else. So one statement you can use is, I believe that vegetarianism is good. Vegetarian food does not make you aggressive. I believe that. Or, I think that. Or, from what I understand. Or, as I understand it, what Rita is saying is that vegetarianism makes you aggressive. I would like to mention that when you eat meat products, it increases the heat in your body, and that is what makes you aggressive. So in comparison to meat, vegetarianism will make your body more peaceful, as I understand it. So these are a few statements you can use when you're giving a valid opinion. Now it's very important while sharing a valid opinion, you do it in 3 steps. One is you give your opinion by using the phrases we just discussed. 2 is you explain why. Like I said, the explanation would be, you started by saying, as I understand it, Rita says vegetarianism makes you angry, makes you aggressive. Then you give your reason. When you eat meat products, it increases the heat in your body. I'm giving the reason. And then you support it with evidence. Evidence could be again the explanation of what happens in the body biologically and why you get aggressive when you eat meat products, overeat meat products and no balance. Or you can support it with a fact, if you know for a fact. You can go into Indian mythology of how, you know, a certain caste of people were vegetarians because they needed to be calm, and a certain caste were non-vegetarians because they needed the aggression and they were fighters. Any mythology, any kind of science, anything you feel is appropriate. Support it with evidence. So these are the 3 steps you follow when you're stating your opinion. One is you state your opinion with the beginning statement. Next is you give a reason why, and third is you support it with evidence. We've already discussed how do you state the opinion. A few phrases that will help you reason are, when you're giving a reason why, this is due to, like I said, explain what happens in the body and why one gets aggressive, what happens to the blood, why the heat affects your state of mind. Because, as simple as that, you can simply start your reason by saying because. Or, what I mean by this is, these are a few statements you can use to state your reason. Going ahead, a few statements you can use to discuss evidence is, this can be seen by, and give your example. For instance, for example, an example can be seen. Another way of giving evidence is quoting people. You may want to quote an author, you may want to quote a president, you may want to quote a personality. So you give their name. Shakespeare says, Shakespeare suggests, Sir Isaac Newton states that. Okay? Give that person, give your author's name, give the scientist's name, give whoever personality you're quoting, give their name and say states that. And finally, if you want to give evidence in the form of facts, you can also say statistics from the ISO report indicate, depending on whatever your discussion is. Use the word statistics, use the word the fact is, use the word did you know. These can help you give evidence. Another important point, now this is how you discuss a valid opinion. Very often you need to contradict someone's opinion. You need to argue with a point. Can become very dicey because you want to disagree with someone without making them feel hurt, without leading it into a debate or an argument. How do you do that? Again, arguing a point has 3 simple steps. Step number 1, acknowledge their point. Say, I see what you mean by what you said. Step number 2, give your explanation why you disagree. Explain it, support it with whatever evidence required. First explain, then say that is why I don't agree. And step number 3 is offer your opinion. If we are looking for a solution here and you feel that a certain solution that Nancy has given does not apply here, or that Tina has given does not apply here, you have some idea of what solution will work better. So you acknowledge their point, you explain why their solution will not work, and then you support it with what solution you feel will work. What solution you feel will work. May work, may not work, but this is what you feel will work. A few statements again we can use. How do you acknowledge? Step number 1, acknowledging a person's point when you want to disagree. How do you acknowledge? I can see your point. However, this is a statement. Statement number 2, that's a good point. However, so you acknowledge. Acknowledgement means simply using this one statement. That's a good point. I can see your point. I see what you're getting at. I see what you're saying. These are statements you can use for acknowledging. Statements you can use for explaining why you disagree. That's not always the case because that's not necessarily true. I see what you're saying. That's not necessarily true because this idea isn't supported by statistics or evidence. However, and give your idea and your statistics and your evidence. You're being polite, so don't be afraid to argue a point. I thought the author meant that many a times in the case of Shakespeare, people don't understand, or people understand it differently. So a person may support point number A by quoting Shakespeare, but you feel that Shakespeare by that one sentence meant something else. My love goes past the heavens. If an author says this, what does he mean? One, he could mean, I will love you till after I die and go to the heavens. Or he could mean that there is no end to my love. You keep traveling, the highest you can reach are the heavens. And that's how far my love goes. So you see what I'm saying? When people quote an author, when people quote a speaker, there can be many interpretations of what that one statement means. So if you feel that it means something else, you are welcome to say, what I actually feel the author meant was this. So that's how you're arguing your point. And how do you finally offer your own opinion? From what I've heard is a statement you can say and give what you've heard. The statistics seem to indicate that, dash, dash, dash. I think what Smith actually was suggesting is ... This is how you will offer your opinion in the third step of arguing any kind of opinion. So the 3 steps we discussed are acknowledge, explain why you disagree, and then explain what your opinion is. Offer your opinion, support it with the facts, explain it. A valid opinion, the 3 steps we discussed, use these 3 steps in step number 3 of arguing a point. Finally, the last tips from me to you of how to present yourself. There is something besides the important information, the wonderful ideas that you will be contributing to a group discussion. There are a few things that are not in the rule book, a few unwritten rules that add and make sure you fit in and you're doing well in your group discussion, and those are to do with presentations. Always dress formally unless you're told otherwise. Unless someone says the dress code is blue, the dress code is a Hawaiian shirt and shorts, or the dress code is high heels, unless someone says that, always dress formally. Like I told you earlier, don't fidget, don't keep putting your hair behind, don't keep straightening yourself. Keep your hands together on the table, elbows off. The table should be here. Keep your hands there. Raise your hands to gesture. When you're listening, keep your hands back there. So your hands are there, you can nod, you're showing that you're listening. Do not play with a pen, do not play with your ring on your finger, do not play with your earring, do not hit the pen on the table. Sometimes unconsciously we end up doing that. Keep check on yourself. Don't shake a leg while you're discussing, no matter how eager you are to share your point. Sit straight. Keep your clothes ironed, keep your clothes tidy, keep your hair tied behind. You may look very pretty with the hair falling right in front of your face, but you're not there to model. You're not there only to look pretty, you're there to look presentable. First rule of presentation is hair tied back, not open hair. And while you sit straight in your chair, feel free to use your gestures. All the gestures do is add meaning and add the impact to your voice. I'm sure with this you will do wonderfully well. I hope you will be practicing your group discussion skills and keeping them in check and testing them every single chance you get. You will be a wonderful speaker. Be patient, smile, listen to people when you have your group discussion. Before I leave you today, I'm going to leave you with a few sample topics for all those of you who go back and want to have mock group discussions. I'll give you a list of topics. I'm not going to tell you whether they're case-based, topic-based, factual, controversial or abstract. Think for yourself. Remember all that we've done today. Go through all that you've learned today and work on these topics. If you don't find a group, work on it yourself. Think of what are the points that I could give in this topic. And I'm not saying spend half an hour a day. I know I value everybody's time. I know we are all very busy. But maybe when you're sitting in a cab to reach home, when you're on a bus, when you're on a train, when you're eating lunch alone, if that does happen, you need to think of something. Use these topics in that time and fit it in somewhere in your very busy schedule. You will find the space. There's no need to sit down with a notebook and pen. Just let your mind work. It's practice. Subconsciously, everything you practice, everything we've discussed today will be in your mind. So just think of these topics that we discuss ahead. Think of how you would present, what kind of points could you come up, and that also will be great practice. So I leave you here with this list of topics. One topic could be why drinking and driving is dangerous to yourself and others. Now think of what type of topic this is. City curfews help to prevent juvenile crime and to protect youth from victimization. Topic number 3, what is wrong with child labor? Topic number 4, sustainable urban living without the use of excessive natural resources must be our future. Nice one. Topic number 5, bribery in business. Topic number 6, Iraq. What are the best exit strategies? Topic number 7, minimum wage. Why should we have a minimum wage or why not? And the final topic, burnout. Should everybody check his or herself of burnout signs and how? Think of these topics. I leave you here with a few tips on group discussion, a little bit that I hope I have contributed, and wishing you all the best in any group discussion in the future. All the best for your interview group discussions, your group discussions in a company, or even you decide the next movie that you go to watch. Thank you so much for your time today. All the best.